A demonstration of brute strength and dogged determination. And while time is a factor, this competition is not about speed. Today, who has the desire to be, pound for pound, a top dog? Welcome to beautiful Vancouver Island. It's the International Weight Pull Association competition from Luxton, BC. Hello, everyone. I'm Al Stafford alongside color commentator Jerry Quinn-Kusi. And this is a very interesting event. It's wet here today. Rain has been falling off and on. But we're here to show you weight pull. You can see some of the competitors registering their dogs and having the animals weighed in. There are several weight classes here. We'll have more on that in a moment. But first, let's take a look at how this International Weight Pull Association course sets up.
The weight pull chute is constructed of hard-packed gravel. There are 16 feet between the start and the finish lines. The handler places the dog and cart on the start line. They can either drive or encourage the dog to pull from behind the finish line. No baiting is allowed. The dog has 60 seconds to complete the pull.
Well, the weight is stacked and ready to go. Each of those blue containers carries 80 pounds. The handlers are getting some last-minute instructions, and while they go through the rules, let's show you some of the challengers we'll be seeing here today. First, in the 36 to 60-pound category, Ruby, handled by Kay Lovett. Kay brought Ruby here from Australia. Also, SARDIUS, a 7-year-old saluki. Saluki's bred to hunt gazelle and hare in Arabia. In the 61 to 80-pound class, we've got Dawson, who is an obedience champion, and Timber, who is handled by Judith McCauley out of Spokane, Washington. The next category is the 81 to 100-pound class. Lady, an Alaskan Malamute. That's probably the most common breed you'll see here in weight pulling. And also GLACIER, one of 6 dogs that Gary Romaine plans to use in weight pulling competitions. Finally, in the unlimited class, 2 dogs handled by Carl Weld, NUKE and JUNEAU, both big-time pullers. NUKE has pulled over 2,900 pounds, JUNEAU 3,100 pounds, both of those on wheels. Our first competitors of the afternoon in the 36 to 60-pound category, and as you can see, we have 4 dogs who have all successfully pulled 360 pounds. SARDIUS will be up first, pulling 440 pounds. She's handled by Leah Blackwood.
They have no body fat, basically, and he's just all muscle. He's a running dog. He can run 40 miles an hour. They were originally bred to hunt gazelle in the desert, so he's, incredibly strong. He's just one of those strong, wiry people, and he just loves doing it.
Well, they've loaded up 440 pounds on the cart, and SARDIUS is at the start line ready to go. This dog is very slight of build, but has pulled 1,200 pounds in previous competitions. And as you can see, 440 pounds, no problem for SARDIUS.
You can see where the harness is padded on the front over the chest and down through the front of his legs. That's to protect her so she doesn't hurt herself as she pulls those weights. This is a very safe competition, and they take great care in looking after their dogs. It was a great pull for a hound.
9 seconds for SARDIUS. Next up is Ruby, and as we mentioned earlier, Ruby is a landed immigrant.
Ruby's a Siberian Husky, and we brought her from Australia. We got her there from a breeder, and because there's no quarantine coming into Canada, we brought her over with us, and I think she likes it a lot better here because it's cooler.
You can see the contrast between Ruby and SARDIUS. Ruby much more powerfully built, still very calm as well, and no problem getting that 440 pounds off the starting line.
Notice her pulling style, back and forth from side to side of the track to get the cart moving.
Quick finish for Ruby is no problem, 9.6 seconds, and now we'll head to our next competitor, which is Molly, a Siberian Husky as well, handled by Palmyra Dree. As you can see, Molly at the top end of this weight class at just over 58 pounds, and it'll take a second for Palmyra to hook Molly up to the cart.
You can see that Molly is a very different body style than Ruby had. She's much slimmer, taller, longer-legged. It's just a different style of body type.
There's the command.
What a different way of pulling off. She likes to bring her front paws up across in front of her.
Atta girl.
Very easy, 440 pounds, no problem for Molly. Does it in a time of 7.1 seconds. That's the fastest we've seen at 440 pounds. Portia is up next, a standard-bred poodle handled by Leah Blackwood.
Poodles are very, very smart. It doesn't take them long to figure stuff out, but that can work against you because it doesn't take them very long to figure stuff out.
Obviously a smart breed, and let's see if the poodle is as powerful as the husky.
It is very interesting to see a poodle in weight pulling. It's not something you would expect to see them in.
Leah Blackwood having a little trouble getting Portia to stand still in order for her to get over the finish line. But once the command is given, no problem getting that cart moving.
An excellent pull.
That equals the fastest time here, 7.1 seconds for Portia. And now they'll change weights. All 4 dogs managing 440 pounds. The handlers have skipped on 520 pounds, and they've gone all the way up to 600 pounds. And here we see SARDIUS.
Look at him dig in and pull. It is just remarkable to see such a slightly built dog being able to pull this great weight.
Slow and steady, but no problem getting 600 pounds across the finish line. 11.7 seconds for SARDIUS. So Ruby is up next now at this 600-pound weight.
I'm stopping till they're over. Everybody.
A quick tug by Ruby, and Ruby turns tail and heads the other way.
Oh, but we're going to come back and give it another try. That's a girl. Clock is running, though. We have to get this done within 60 seconds.
Ruby doesn't seem at all interested in pulling.
Oh, and she's going to start protesting to Mom. Siberians love to talk, and this is just her way of saying, I don't want to do this.
Time.
And the time is called.
Okay, Ruby says she's had enough.
Now this is nice to see because the dog is finishing on a very positive note. They allow her to complete the pull, and it leaves her with a positive thought about pulling.
So a no pull for Ruby, and Ruby is gone now from the competition. We still have 2 more dogs who will attempt pulling 600 pounds. This is Molly.
There we go with the little paws up in the air again. It's cute, but it isn't very effective as far as getting the cart started.
I get the impression that once most of these dogs get the weight moving, then they don't have any problem getting it across the finish line. It's just getting it off the starting line that's the problem.
That's right.
15.4 seconds for Molly. And that brings us to our last competitor at 600 pounds, Portia, the standard-bred poodle.
Again, this is an older dog. It's really great to see her. She did so well on her first pull. Let's hope she can do as well this time.
Leah Blackwood behind the finish line gives the command. A quick jerk by Portia, and no problem getting the cart moving.
She is just really great at this.
Good finish, strong finish for Portia. A time of 9.8 seconds. That was the fastest of the 3 dogs that completed 600 pounds. We'll change weights again, and we'll have more of the 36 to 60 pound category in just a moment from Lexington Beach. Welcome back to Vancouver Island, the Luxton Fairgrounds for the International Weight Pulling Association competition. And as you can see, Ruby, a no pull, dropping out. Now we have moved ahead several categories, and the dogs will now be competing at 1,080 pounds. They managed to pull at 760. They passed on 840 and pulled successfully at 920 and 1,000. So SARDIUS will be the first at 1,080 pounds.
Okay, SARDIUS. Okay.
Leah Blackwood gives the command.
Oh, a big stretch.
Come on, SARDIUS. Okay, come on. Come on.
It's almost like she's planning her strategy here.
There you go. Good job.
There we go.
Come on. Good boy,
Well, we talked about this earlier, Jerry, and it's a question of getting the weight off the start line. And if the dog manages to do that, it seems that most of the dogs can handle pulling it to the finish line. But now we're talking about close to 1,100 pounds, and SARDIUS is obviously struggling getting that cart moving.
Good boy. Come on, SARDIUS. Here. SARDIUS, here. Good boy. Come on. Come on.
He had it going. You can see the front tires are across it. There we go.
Come on, Sardius.
You're right. Just get it started and then it's much easier to pull it.
Good boy. Come on. You can do it. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Come on. Come on. Come on.
And SARDIUS gets it across the finish line, 52.4 seconds, just under the wire. But that's good enough for SARDIUS to move up to the next weight. Next up is Molly, and still showing the excitement we saw earlier at the lower weight.
Mom's giving her a little pep talk at the line there to get her all ready to roll. There's her style again. That definitely is her style of pulling. Typical Saib doing some extra talking in here.
So far hasn't managed to move the cart at all off the start line. And the clock is running.
If we could just get our front paws down and put our energy into it, we'd have it, but we just can't seem to do that today. There we go.
There's a tug. Now the cart's moving.
Going. Yes.
Come on, girl. Girl. Come on. Good puppy. Yes, come on.
And no problem for Molly, even the opportunity to stop and sniff the fence along the way, finishing in a time of 46 seconds.
What a girl.
Now Portia is next. Again, pulling 1,080 pounds. Leah Blackwood still with 2 dogs in at this 36 to 60 pound weight class.
Good girl. Come on. Good girl.
She buckles right in and tries right off the start. She has no fooling around, just right at it, giving it a good tug.
Jerry, the poodles have much smaller paws than the Siberians, and I would imagine as the weight increases, getting traction in this soggy dirt is a bit of a problem for a dog like Portia.
Yes, it would be. Their feet are much smaller than Siberians or Malamutes. It just makes it much more difficult to get that grip on the soil, and I think Portia's just having a really hard time here.
Good girl. Come on. Okay, good girl.
It's not budging much at all, is it, Al?
Can't seem to get the weight going.
You can see she's tearing up the track. She's just having a very difficult time.
Give it a push. Okay, come on.
Now they're giving her a little push from the back to help her.
Good girl. Good girl.
Again, they're letting her finish on a positive note.
It goes in as a no pull, however. Lots of praise from Leah Blackwood, but one more dog drops out of the competition at 1,080 pounds. We move now up to 1,160 pounds, and Leah Blackwood is back at the finish line now, taking a look at SARDIUS.
Good boy. Come on. Good boy. That's it. Come on. SARDIUS.
He's having a little bit of trouble with this.
Good boy. SARDIUS, come on. Good boy. That's it. Good boy. SARDIUS, come on. Okay.
See how he braces his back feet to give him more pull.
Good boy. That's it. Come on.
Just isn't going to work this time, though.
SARDIUS, come on.
SARDIUS struggled, as you remember, at 1,080 pounds, getting it across the finish line at 52.4 seconds, but is having trouble moving 1,160 pounds off the start line.
Good boy. That's it. Come on.
He really is trying awfully hard.
SARDIUS, come on. SARDIUS. You can do it.
That may be the limit, though, for SARDIUS. 1,160 pounds.
Come on. You can do it. Come on, SARDIUS. Let's go.
And SARDIUS now backs up against the fence and gets caught, it looks like, but time has pretty much expired. SARDIUS unable to move 1,160 pounds, and because Molly was fastest at 1,080 pounds, Molly then is declared the winner.
Yes, it was a personal best. It was. I'm thrilled to death that she did it. I wasn't sure if she was going to pull the 1,000 pounds or not. We've never done it in wet conditions like this. So I'm really excited. For her, thank you. Thank you very much.
And while we have a moment, let's give you a complete introduction into the sport of weight pulling.
Back in 1980, we were looking at trying to find a sport that us guys with big fat dogs could work on, and we couldn't sled much because the little dogs are faster.
Dig, 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 dig. Dig, good man.
We also wanted a competition or a sport that you didn't have to have a lot of dogs. So this sport here, you only need one dog.
All right, come on. You can pull. Go. Come on. Come on.
With the competitive obedience, they're taught always to be close, looking to you for direction, etc. Perfection, very precise. The pulling is the opposite end of the spectrum. They're like all out, hog wild, go crazy, just go for it, make your own decisions kind of thing.
Yes, come on, come on, come on. Get up here, come on, come on, come on.
Some dogs just seem incredibly just pull crazy. They just do it. And others, it's something they sort of acquire a taste for.
Anybody can get into weight pulling with any kind of dog as long as they're over a year old. They do not have to be a purebred. They can be any dog.
Any breed can do this. Mixed breeds can do it. You know, you don't have to be a Malamute.
You meet really neat people, and not only that, you're with your dog, you're doing something that dog likes doing, and it's a lot of fun.
We really like the social part of weight pulling. We also like it because in the show ring, it's a judge's opinion about your dog. But when we come out to weight pull, we hook them up, and if they pull, they win. And if they don't pull or are having a bad day, then it's nobody's opinion. So it's a clear-cut sort of thing. That's Susie.
You try to psych the other guy out, you know. You can pass 2 weights, like successive weights, but then you have to pull the next one, so you can sort of throw the person that you're pulling against by passing that weight. You say, oh, I have the confidence that my dog can pull this, and then the guy has to think, oh, geez, can my dog do this too, you know? So there's a bit of a game that way.
We move up a weight class. We'll have the 61 to 80 pounders next on Top Dogs. Welcome back to Top Dogs from Vancouver Island. As you can see, the clouds rolling in. The rain has begun to fall here as well, and that's going to make it a little bit more difficult on this dirt track for these competitors. We're in the 61 to 80 pound weight category. Let's recap what happened earlier today. You're looking at JANIK, and JANIK pulling 520 pounds, no problem there. TUFF TBONE at 520 pounds, a lot of power in this animal. No problem getting across the finish line. DAWSON, no problem as well at 520 pounds. Susie, however, did have some trouble at this weight. Just no interest in 520 pounds, so Susie is out. Here's Timber pulling 680 pounds after passing at some of the lower weights. And now we're up to 1,000 pounds, and JANIK struggling under the strain, but manages to get the cart across the finish line. TUFF TBONES, no problem getting the cart moving at 1,000 pounds. This is Skeena, and it looks like Skeena has hit the maximum at 1,000 pounds. And here's Dawson now, leaning into that 1,000 pound weight. And Dawson is successful. So that's where we are in the 61 to 80 pound weight category. We've got 4 competitors left who have all pulled successfully at 1,000 pounds. So let's take you now to 1,160 pounds, and this is JANIK, a 4-year-old female Malamute, handled by Sandy Osborne, and Sandy's not putting too much pressure on JANIK today.
She's already got her weight pull title, and I think next year I'm going to try getting her excellent title, but I'm not really pushing her because she hurt her ankle a couple months ago.
JANIK, a 77-pound Malamute, and let's see how JANIK does at 1,160 pounds.
She gets right in there and starts pulling right away.
Good girl, JANIK.
Seems to like rubbing against the fence on the pull. Very steady, though, and really strong at the finish. A good job for JANIK, finishing in a time of 12.31 seconds. Next competitor at 1,160 pounds is TUFF TBONE, handled by Gary Romaine, and he says his dog loves this sport.
He's my favorite dog. You know, he's the only one that can come in the house and not tear things up. And then when he gets to the weight pulls, he goes wild. I don't know what that's all about.
Oh. Come on.
TUFF TBONE, no trouble moving the cart off the start line.
That's a great pull. Just pulls it right off the line and just keeps on going.
Quick finish, 8.57 seconds for TUFF TBONE. So our next competitor at 1,160 pounds is Dawson, a Husky Shepherd cross, and handler Shane Glasspool says he has no control over this animal.
Well, it's pretty much up to him, and you know, I'm at the end to give him support, and hopefully he's going to pull it, and if he's ready to do it, he'll do it. It's all a matter of the confidence in the dog.
Dawson, just 2 years old. This is Dawson's first year of competition in weight pulling.
Come, Dawson, come.
Dawson's doing a lot of barking and not a lot of putting effort into his pulling here. There we go.
Well, he's moved the cart, but not a great deal, as you can see. You get the feeling if Dawson could bear down, Dawson wouldn't have any trouble moving this cart 16 feet.
Time has been called. Now, if Dawson had to be...
Well, time, that's unfortunate. That goes in as a no pull for Dawson, and Dawson leaves the competition, unable to move 1,160 pounds. Next competitor, Timber, the Siberian Husky, and Timber weighs in today at 66 pounds.
I see that he loves it so much. He loves to pull, and I feel that I want to be a part of it.
Obviously, the handlers get as much, if not more, out of this than the competitors do. Look at the power in this animal.
That's incredible. What a pull.
Gets the hindquarters down very low, and that must contribute to that power. Look at the time, 7 seconds, 7.45 seconds. We add some weight. We're moving up to 1,320 pounds now. Again, dogs in the 61 to 80 pound class. JANIK will be first.
Come on, JANIK. Come on, that's a good girl.
No hesitation. JANIK was up and ready to go as soon as the handler moved across the finish line. Right back to the fence, and no problem moving 1,320 pounds.
It's interesting how she always goes up against that fence, isn't it?
11.12 seconds for JANIK, and that means JANIK moves up to the next weight. TUFF TBONE will be next.
Getting a little loving from his dad.
This is a fairly young dog. Year and a half of age.
Gary Romaine, the handler from Camas, Washington, and you can hear the announcer here saying that this is a young dog, and that's true. TUFF TBONE only a year and a half old and has only been competing for 4 or 5 months, so relatively inexperienced.
Just not giving his dad a good pull here. Looks back as if to say, really? Come on. There we go.
TUFF TBONE really hasn't tested the weight on this cart. So Gary changes positions now and hopes moving to the fence is what will get this Alaskan Malamute to move.
He's trying everything he can to get him.
Well, that goes down as a no pull. Unfortunate for Gary Romaine and TUFF TBONE.
Across the finish line, get him going.
As you can see, once the dog gets moving, though, no problem moving the cart across the finish line. It does go down, though, as a no pull. Now we come to Timber, who's the final competitor at 1,320 pounds.
Stay for the moment. Let's stay safe. Let's stay safe. Come on, Timber, bring it to me.
And again, that low driving style.
Force behind that is incredible. Look at him go.
Very quick across the finish line. A time of 7.91 seconds for Timber. That's the fastest at 1,320 pounds. So TUFF TBONE is out now. Dawson is out now, and we move to 1,480 pounds for our 2 remaining competitors. JANIK will be first.
Now, stay. Stay. Okay, come on, JANIK. Come on, good girl. Come on. Come on.
Now remember, JANIK's handler, Sandra Osborne, saying earlier that JANIK coming off an ankle injury, but doesn't appear to be struggling at all.
Doing very well. Excellent pull.
11.75 seconds for JANIK. And let's see if Timber can match that pull.
Judy and Timber are up from Washington State.
Good sit, good sit.
It's our first visit with us.
I need a good stay. I need a real good stay.
Stays are often a problem for these dogs. They are so eager to get out there and pull.
Stay. 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 Come on, Timber, hike it out. Hike, 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 hike. Hike, hike, hike.
Look at that.
Got the cart moving, and this will be no problem. No problem at all for Timber. 1,480 pounds, so JANIK and Timber move to the next weight class. 9.44 seconds for Timber. We'll add some weight to the cart.
Weight the cart up to 1,640 pounds.
Champion, 6 years old.
And here's JANIK, the first attempt at 1,640 pounds. Rain falling steady here at Vancouver Island.
Okay, come on, Janet. Come on. As a girl. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Pull it.
Trying her very best. Look at her put her body into that.
Uh-oh.
Are you okay?
JANIK yelped a bit, and that's it. The handler, Sandra Osborne, calls it off. Doesn't even wait for the 1 minute time limit.
So she knows she succeeded. Come on.
Still letting her get her pull and feeling a positive finish to this.
Good. Give her a round of applause.
So a no pull for JANIK, but it looks like the dog's not limping at all, and that's a good sign. So hopefully the dog hasn't re-injured that ankle. And because of the no pull, the win goes to Timber, 9.44 seconds at a weight of 1,480 pounds.
He's never pulled on dirt before. This is his first time on dirt. He has a real drive to pull. He loves to pull.
More weight in a moment. The 81 to 100 pound dogs are next. That's Big Baron slipping into the harness, an Alaskan Malamute, and probably the dominant dog in this sport. Let's take a look at these powerful pullers.
Alaskan Malamute comes from Alaska, of course. The Malamute is the native people of the Innu tribe, and they're the ones that made the dog, bred the dog for what it is today. We as breeders, trainers, owners, whatever, try and keep to the Malamute standard.
Good girl. This is a northern breed. It's a Spitz type of dog with the prick ears. They can weigh anywhere from a female being 75 pounds to a male being 150 pounds.
I love their personality. She's very playful. She loves to be around kids, and she loves your attention. Like if you run, she'll run. She likes to be close to you.
Malamutes usually don't bark. They have a woo-woo or a talking, as you can tell. Their father, who passed away, was very much a talker, and he would tell us stories all day long.
This is not really their climate, but they don't mind it down here. There's even dogs as far as, well, we've had calls from Spain, where there's Alaskan Malamutes.
There's some in Australia.
There's some in Australia.
We even had a call from someone in Afghanistan on him.
So they're all over the world.
When you have the dog, you can wrap your arms around its neck and give it a big hug, and it's almost like they're giving you a hug back. They lean into you, they love the attention.
We'll show you the big pullers a little later on Top Dogs. They're adding weight to the cart for the 81 to 100 pound category. Let's take a look at what happened earlier in this competition. Misty here pulling 680 pounds. Misty, however, didn't make the weight at 920 and is out. Here's Riley pulling 680 pounds, straining against the weight. Bit of a sideways motion there, but Riley gets across but failed at 920. Here's Tika now, pulling 920 pounds, or rather not pulling 920 pounds. Tika lost interest at this particular point and was out at 920 pounds. Glacier, though, had success at 920 pounds and qualified to move up to the next weight limit. So here's what we have. 4 dogs have qualified to move up. Aspen, Tim, Lady, and Glacier all pulling successfully at 920 pounds. And here's Tim, a Malamute that loves the activity.
He's a character. And yeah, he just enjoys it. He gives me a lot. And he just thinks doing something is fun.
Well, let's see if Tim has fun in this rain here on Vancouver Island. We can tell you that Glacier registered a no pull at 1,160 pounds, so there are only 3 dogs left now.
The rain is really coming down now, Al. It's got to make it tough for these dogs and handlers.
Tim seems to be saying, do you have any idea how heavy this is?
Good boy, right here, Tim. Come on.
There we go.
Right here.
He's got it rolling. A powerful dog, Tim is, and no problem getting it across the finish line. Good finish there for Susie, Malcolm, and Tim in a time of 23.31 seconds. This is Lady, female Malamute, handled by Sylvia David.
And again, we're on the far side of the track, the left-hand side. That's where Lady likes to pull.
Stay. Come on, let's go. Lady, come. Come on. That's it. Come on, darling. Let's go. Come on. Come on.
Having a little trouble getting that 1,160 pounds rolling.
Come on, lady. Come on. Lady, come.
There she goes. Look at that nice big heave to get it going. And there she rolls.
Come on, darling. Come on. Keep going. Come on.
Low angle camera for you there. Lady crossing the finish line at a time of 25.53 seconds. Aspen will be next. Handled by Mike Skeen.
This is 1,160 pounds.
I didn't pull him at all last year, and the year before he did quite well down in Post Falls, Idaho, and I believe he pulled 2,200 pounds.
Well, if Aspen can pull 2,200 pounds, 1,160 pounds will be no problem. And one mighty jerk off the start line, and Aspen is rolling.
Excellent pull. Just great. Makes it look easy.
Absolutely. 9 seconds flat for Aspen. That's a great time. We'll add some extra weight to the cart now and move these 3 dogs up to 1,400 pounds. There's Susie Malcolm and Tim back at the start line.
Getting some words of encouragement here from his mom.
Okay, Tim, come on, Tim.
Tim, the first to attempt 1,400 pounds. You can see the wheels barely moving there.
Tim, ready? Ready? Come on, Tim.
Great big lunge. Come on, Tim.
Good boy, good boy, good boy. Come on, Tim. Yes, 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 yes.
Now he's got it going.
Good boy, it's coming. Come on, Tim. Let's go. Good boy. Come on, Tim. Right here. Good boy, good boy, good boy.
Slow start, but a strong finish for Tim.
Yes, yes, yes.
And he crosses the finish line in a time of 28.19 seconds. So Lady will be up next. Again, 1,400 pounds on that cart.
Stay. Walk it out. Stay. Stay.
Sylvia David giving Lady the stay command, and she backs up to the finish line now and gives Lady the start command.
Come on. Let's go. Come on. Lady, come.
Lots of begging and pleading in this, isn't there, Al, to get these dogs to come to them?
One more. You've done this before. Good.
There she goes.
Come on. Let's go. Good.
Lady gets the cart off the start line.
Come on, darling. Come on.
She really has a unique pulling style running along the fence.
Come on. Let's go. Come on.
Just short of the finish line, and now Lady's over the finish line. Finishing in a time of 30.38 seconds. Aspen is going to pass at 1,400 pounds. So when we come back to Vancouver Island, 1,640 pounds will be on that cart. 1,640 pounds here on the cart at Luxton Fairgrounds, and Tim will be the first to try and pull that weight. Let's recap what's happened here in the 81 to 100 pound class. Aspen passing at 1,400 pounds. Tim and Lady pulled 1,400 successfully, and Glacier, as we mentioned earlier, dropping out after pulling successfully at 920 pounds. So here is Susie Malcolm and Tim, our male Alaskan Malamute. Tim weighs in at just shy of 87 pounds.
Tim is certainly trying hard. He's talking. He just is having a hard time going. Malamutes were originally used as freighting dogs in the north, and that's how this all got started, was pulling heavy weights.
Good boy. You gotta pull it. Tim. Yes, yes.
He hasn't budged the wheels off the start line so far.
Ready? Come on.
He's doing a little bit of avoidance here. He's sort of looking at the fence, trying to get out of pulling. He really, really doesn't feel he can do this. It's a little more than he can handle.
Come on. Come on, Tim.
Tim's style a little bit higher than some of the more powerful dogs we've seen too, and I would imagine as the weights increase, it's going to get more and more difficult to jerk the cart off the start line when the dog gets so high in the air. The dog simply doesn't have any leverage.
Come on, good boy. Come on, good boy, Tim.
Well, that's time.
Good boy, Tim.
And the organizers will give Tim a hand here getting that cart across the finish line. Don't want the dog to go away feeling like the dog is unsuccessful, but Tim finishes with a no pull. Here now is Sylvia David with Lady, again 1,640 pounds on this cart. Lady, the only female left of the 3 dogs. All of them Alaskan Malamutes. Lady weighs 84.5 pounds.
Even though it's been raining heavily here, this pad is holding up very well. It's a permanent pad and it hasn't been chewed up by the dogs, so they still have a chance to get a good grip on it to pull.
Lady, come. Come on, let's go.
Lady's straining against the weight, but as you can see, having a little trouble getting the cart to get some momentum.
She's going out to the center and going to do that cross-track thing to just try and get some momentum going, but it isn't working for her this time.
Lady! Lady!
I think Lady's calling it quits there, Al. Oh, here she comes back again. She's going to give it one last try.
Come on. Come on, darling. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Just
You listen to her handler, Sylvia David, nothing discouraging in her tone of voice, simply encouraging, trying to get Lady to strain against that weight and hopefully get that cart rolling.
Lady.
And they've called time as well, so that too goes in as a no pull. A no pull for Tim and a no pull now for Lady as well. So 1,640 pounds, a little bit too much for those 2 dogs today. Let's see now if Aspen can pull 1,640 pounds and walk away with the title in this 81 to 100 pound weight class. Mike Skeen is going to hook Aspen up to the cart. Aspen, the heaviest of the 3 dogs left here in this 81 to 100 pound category, weighing in at 96, almost 97 pounds, in fact.
Aspen, come.
He's putting a lot of effort into this. Oh, goodness, he's going to get tangled. Look at that fancy footwork. He managed to get himself out of it.
Come. Good boy. Come on. Hurry up.
Aspen keeping the hindquarters a little bit lower than certainly Tim. And that extra, it seems to be giving Aspen some extra power, and Aspen has crossed the finish line. The only one of the 3 dogs to pull 1,640 pounds, finishing in a time of 25.50 seconds. And that'll be good enough to take the title. Aspen pulling 1,640 pounds, the only dog to do it. Tim and Lady topping out at 1,400 pounds this afternoon.
He usually pulls to the right. He started pulling to the left today, right at the end, which kind of scared me. But what you want to do is get a straight on pull as possible so the dog's not working against the cart. So he did okay.
So congratulations to Mike Skeen and Aspen from Cobble Hill, BC. You know, we've been showing you the heavier breeds today, and in fact the heaviest are still to come. But earlier today, the lightest breeds to compete in weight pulling took a run at some of these heavy carts.
She's spoiled rotten. She's Mummy's baby. I had to bribe her with wieners to do this. We bought her a cart, a harness. She looks great in her little pink harness.
Like most Cocker Spaniels, he's a couch potato. But he wants to please me, and so he really makes the effort to please me and try to figure out what it is I want him to do. He's very new at this. He's just been doing it about 4 months.
Here's Debbie Robbins of Victoria, BC, and that's her 3-year-old Shih Tzu, Tia. This is Tia's first weight pulling competition, and no problem getting 180 pounds and that cart across the finish line. 7.53 seconds, a good pull for Tia. Now here's Susie Malcolm with her Cocker Spaniel, Gabby, a 2-year-old.
Okay, Gabby, come on. Good boy, Gabby. Good boy, yes.
Gabby's doing very well, too. A little off to the left side, which makes it more difficult for him to pull a cart.
9.06 seconds at 180 pounds. They add another 40 pounds to the cart.
Tia.
And here's Tia.
Come on. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Come on. Come on. Tia.
I think Tia maybe has just had a little bit too much weight added. This is pretty difficult being her first pull.
It always seems when the dogs have decided that they've had enough that that's when the barking really starts. So no pull for Tia. Here's Gabby again at 220 pounds.
Lots of encouragement, and he's doing a fine job.
Gabby crosses easily in a time of 19.19 seconds. at 220 pounds. So you can see the dogs in the under 35-pound category can still pull a tremendous amount of weight. Gabby actually went on to pull 260 pounds to win that competition.
This is his first experience on a dirt pull, so I was pleased. He tried. I don't know whether he would have given me more weight in another pull. Stopped where I did. He doesn't like being wet. So I was real pleased with him.
Well, Gabby celebrates the victory with a stroll in the park, and we'll take a break. When we come back, we've got the big dogs for you here on Top Dogs. Welcome back to beautiful Vancouver Island. Still a drizzle falling here. We've got the big pullers ahead for you. First in the 101 to 120 pound category, this is Baron. There's 520 pounds on the cart. This was shot a little bit earlier in the day. Baron having no trouble getting that cart across the line. Now in the unlimited weight class, 2 dogs. First one, Nuke, no trouble at 520 pounds, and this is Juneau. And Juneau, as you can see, also had no trouble at 520 pounds. Now, Baron skipped a couple of weights and went all the way up to 1,240 pounds.
You'll notice that Dennis chooses to drive Baron from beside the cart, not standing at the finish line, encouraging him on.
Dennis David could not get Baron to pull 1,240 pounds. That goes as a no pull, and Baron is done. Now, here's Nuke. No trouble getting 1,240 pounds across the line. Nuke is handled by Carl Well, and Carl Well also handles Juneau. And here's Juneau, managing to drag 1,240 pounds across the line as well. So we'll recap the standings for you here. Baron is out after failing at 1,240 pounds. Juneau and Nuke went on to get 1,720 and 1,960 pounds across the line. Now there's 2,200 pounds on that cart. Nuke is up first.
In different conditions, they do better or worse, you know. But he does well. He works really hard for me. He's got a lot of heart, you know. So he's a good dog.
2,200 pounds. Nuke and Juneau, the 2 dogs from the unlimited class.
There, Nuke is getting some last-minute instructions from Dad.
Nuke, come. That's it. Good dog. Come on. Nuke,
Look at the strength in that dog.
Wow. You can see the divots the paws are taking out, but Nuke is pulling the cart, and the cart has got the momentum now.
Wonderful pull. Great. And I think the sun's even coming out a little bit here right now, Al.
15.69 seconds for Nuke. Let's see if Juneau can match the pull now. They're repositioning the cart.
This is 2,200 pounds.
Carl gets Juneau in position. They'll have to clip the cart to the harness.
Away we go. Look at that. They put so much effort into this when they're trying. Look at him. I think he's going to make it.
Juneau, come. Juneau, come. Come on.
Juneau weighs 135 pounds, pulling 2,200 pounds, and gets across the finish line in a time of 17.84 seconds. A little bit slower than Nuke, who is a little bit lighter, but we're going to add some weight to the cart. Now they're pulling 2,440 pounds. Nuke weighs slightly less than 130 pounds, although I would imagine that 4 or 5 pounds that Nuke gives up to Juneau probably doesn't matter at this level.
Wait. Oh,
Nuke is the younger of the 2 dogs as well. Nuke is just a 3-year-old.
Nuke, come.
Juneau is 8.5.
Good dog. Good boy.
Look at him dig in. Look at that.
Come on, Nuke. Come. Nuke, come.
This is just incredible.
A powerful performance for Nuke, the Alaskan Malamute. Pulls 2,440 pounds across the line. Let's get a look at that time. 23 minutes, 0.51 seconds. A great performance by Nuke. And Carl Wells says that Juneau's not going to try this weight. So Nuke is the winner in the unlimited class. 2,440 pounds. As you can see, Baron finishing first, the only dog running in the 101 to 120 pound category after a successful pull of 520 pounds. The final results in just a moment. Well, the competition is over. Time to hand out the ribbons to the big winners of the day. And there's NUKE, the big winner in the unlimited class, pulling 2,440 pounds. Jerry, let's take a look at NUKE's technique.
He has a wonderful technique. His head is low to the ground, his back end is low, and he puts his whole body into it. He just gives it everything he's got.
You can tell he's starting to slow down. He says, this is tough, and so I just needed that little bit of extra encouragement to get him to finish it off, you know, make that last couple feet. So, but it was good. Yeah, he does well. I can always expect a lot out of him, and he always gives me everything he's got, you know.
So that wraps up the International Weight Pulling Association weight pulling contest here from Luxton Fairgrounds on beautiful Vancouver Island. If you've never seen the sport before, we hope you enjoyed our presentation of it today. On behalf of color commentator Jerry Quincusi, this is Al Stafford saying so long from Vancouver Island.